Good afternoon, Art History. We are actually ready to start learning about Gothic architecture. So just to kind of summarize some of the major themes of Gothic, we are seeing a massive shift in population in Europe during the 12th and 13th century. People are moving from countrysides to towns. So the towns are growing, of course, then to become cities. And really the cathedrals become a very important part of the cities. They act as a social center, and obviously for religious and cultural issues as well. Cathedral schools and universities began to replace the monasteries as the main learning centers. But really overall, it is a time for really fresh ideas and technical knowledge. And from this, we see the Gothic art style and architecture style come about. A side note, I was doing some reading, and originally Gothic, the term Gothic, was first used as a term of ridicule by Renaissance critics looking back at this style of work because the style did not conform to the standards of classical Greece and Rome. But now when we say the word Gothic, it's synonymous with the new dynamic style of that period with the pointed arches and stained glass windows and flying buttresses. Another thing that I wanted to point out was, although it was a great time of prosperity, there was also a lot of turmoil across Europe. We have the 100 Years' War, which shattered the peace between England and France. In the 14th century, we had the Black Death, which was a plague that killed over a quarter of the people in Western Europe. The Great Schism, where opposing popes in Rome and Avignon, France, had basically a political and religious crisis. So tons of stuff going on. There was a lot of prosperity, but again, between the war and plague and all of this, lots going on. One of the key components that I really want you to think about when we're looking at some of these cathedrals, the key to Gothic architecture is unity. They are really trying to unify both the exterior and the interior in terms of the adornment with sculpture, with everything is just lavishly and richly decorated, very ornate. This is the first time actually in the history of architecture and cathedrals and basilicas that we are really seeing an equal emphasis with the inside and the outside. Structure, aesthetics, purpose, and meaning all fused together. So they're really trying to make all of those components work together. And for the rest of your e-learning today, we are going to actually be talking about the Abbey Church of Saint-Denis, which is in Paris, France. And it's really interesting because most of the other cathedrals and such, we have a hard time pinpointing the origin of the style. But with Saint-Denis, we can really pinpoint the exact beginnings of Gothic architecture within this. They really, we're going to talk about Abbot Suger, who wanted to make Saint-Denis the spiritual center of France. And so the video that you're going to watch is really talking about his redesign of the smaller church to, again, accommodate pilgrims who are visiting. So still got these great pilgrimages going across Europe. But he really aimed to construct a church that was as beautiful and richly decorated as possible. Because when you're thinking about it, anything less would be unsuitable as God's house. He really wanted to honor God through the aesthetic of this building. And his main concern was light, because it symbolized the presence of God. I'm going to let you guys continue on from there and do a little bit of reading and a little bit of a video to kind of go over this a little bit more. I said a little, quite a lot right there. But here are just a couple pictures of the interior versus the exterior, so you can again see that they are equally emphasized. But we will pick up with this in class on Thursday.